The Tampa Bay Buccaneers haven't made the playoffs since 2007. Is it time for them to make it in 2016? We're about to discuss it. You're watching the MJ Take on Sports Fan Entertainment. Hello and welcome to the MJ Take on Sports Fan Entertainment. 32 teams, 32 days, and today we're talking about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And as I said in the intro, man, this is a team that hasn't made the playoffs since 2007. 9 years running, could be 10 years if we're not careful. Now, I like Jameis Winston. I love Jameis Winston. Who am I kidding by like Jameis Winston? I love Jameis Winston. And let me tell you, he's your only hope because, you know, this roster isn't bad. I don't think it's good enough to be a playoff team. I'll tell you that right off of the bat. I think there are issues on this roster, but Jameis Winston, let me tell you about this man. And by the way, I'm a damn Tennessee Titans fan. What I'm talking about here is damn near sacrilegious because every single damn Titans fan except for me hates Jameis Winston and likes to say that Marcus Mariota is better than Jameis Winston and he's gonna be a better No, Jameis Winston's a better quarterback. He's gonna be a better quarterback. He's been a better quarterback since his career started, college career started. He's going to prove that. And he's the main hope because I believe this guy's going to be an all-pro guy. And I think we saw plenty of that last year. I think we continue to stay at 4,000 passing yards his rookie season. This guy is the truth. He came into college his first year. He tore it up in a pro-style offense. This guy absolutely tore it up because it was just too easy for him. We saw him tear up the Philadelphia Eagles because it was just too damn easy. He makes so many throws that we're just like, man, that throw was just too damn easy. And he's the only hope, and for me, he's the first strength. And some people are going to think that this is a little sacrilegious of me. This is a little blasphemous. How can you put Jameis Winston as a strength for this football team? He's only been in the league for 1 year. He only threw 22 touchdowns to 15 interceptions. Not that good. Let me tell you, he's going to throw over 30 this year, okay? That's number one. And his passer rating is going to finally reach that 90 range, probably around 94, 95. That's what I'm projecting. And he will solidify himself as at least a top 12 quarterback in this league, maybe even top 10. But with that said, I'm not sure if he's going to be quite enough. But let's talk about another strength, although he's a very good one. I like the defensive line. Now, this is a little bit of a presumption. You know, the main thing with this defense, with this Bucs defense, is you hired Mike Smith. And every year there are those coaching hires where they go a little under the radar. But they're able to come in, these coaches, able to come in, these assistant coaches, they're able to come in and really revamp a defense or an offense and really help it. And I think Mike Smith can really help this defensive line. Let's talk about the best player, and that's Gerald McCoy. And although I say he's the best player, he hasn't really been playing like it lately. Now, he's been banged up, you know, but I think he's a better player than this, man. I think he's right up there with Geno Atkins, who I made a video about today, but I haven't seen enough from Gerald McCoy the last couple of years. I need to see more from you, man. Where are you? You're better than this. He's still good, but he should be great. He should be elite. I'm not seeing that elite player, the guy that's splashing on every single damn play. I'm like, oh my God, here comes Gerald McCoy. We need to double team. We need to triple team this guy because this guy's going to ruin our freaking game. I'm not seeing that from Gerald McCoy. I need to see more from him, but he's still a good player. Robert Ayers, who you signed from the New York Giants, you know, I don't know why they were so eager, so happy to say, yay, we got rid of Robert Ayers and we signed Olivier Vernon. To me, that was a lateral move. I think they're the same player for the most part. Dominant against the run. In terms of getting 10 plus sacks, they won't do it. They're going to get pressures and the people are going to be happy with that. I won't, but people are going to be happy with that. But he's good, right? He's definitely a good player. Not much goes past him, especially in terms of the run game. So that's a nice player to have. William Golston, you know, the guy isn't great. Okay, but he is a guy that you know you're going to get from him. He's going to be, again, that run defender, a guy that can just do his job. You drafted Noah Spence, and apparently this guy is lining it up in practice. So apparently this is a guy we need to look out for. And I buy into this because he was a guy that flashed on his film. He just has some character issues, and if it wasn't for that, he could have been, you know, a high first-round pick or at least a mid-first-round pick. So, you know, I like Noah Spence there. And then Clinton McDonald at one defensive tackle position. Again, a guy that's good, not great, but we know we're going to get from him, and that's just fine with me. Now, from there, I wanted to say wide receivers, but I couldn't do it. You know, Mike Evans, the guy had a lot of drops last season. You know, the guy, his head wasn't into it, and I don't know why it's going to be into it now. You know, is Dirk Cutter, going to get it out of him, going to motivate him? Jameis Winston, if he couldn't motivate him last year, he's not going to be able to do it this season. All on Mike Evans to get it out of him, to be motivated and be the player that we think he can be. We know he can be. We're talking about Odell Beckham and DeAndre Hopkins and AJ Green and Antonio Brown. I think he has the talent to be right there with those guys. Put in the work, put in the effort. We need to see it from you, Mike Evans, because you don't want to look back at that 2014 NFL draft saying that of the three wide receivers that went, Sammy Watkins, Mike Evans, and Odell Beckham, he's the worst of the three. We don't need to be having that conversation. Be better, Mike Evans. And on the other side, Vincent Jackson, injury prone, getting old, and getting limited. You know, the guys, you know, he was always a deep threat, always a vertical threat. But now that the age is starting to catch up with him, not so much of a very good vertical threat or a deep threat. I still think he's a good wide receiver, you know, but, you know, the age and the injuries are starting to catch up to him. And then there's no depth. There's zero. There's no nada, nothing. There is no depth at the wide receiver position. And I'm shocked that whenever Anquan Bolden was out there on the market, they didn't take him. They didn't call him up. They didn't beg him to come in and sign with you guys. I'm shocked that they couldn't draft a guy in the draft. I mean, they were too busy taking Ryan Smith. I mean, yeah, you could use a safety, but, you know, Ryan Smith and a kicker and Roberto Aguayo, like, take a wide receiver and help out your boy Jameis Winston, because the problem is, although he's great, and he's going to be great, you can only do so much with Dante Adai, Adam Humphries. You know, you can only do Kenny Bell. Like, why are you setting up Jameis Winston with these guys? They're not going to do anything for you, man. You know, yes, Kenny Bell has some nice potential. But, I mean, come on, you got to draft a wide receiver. I'm 100% sure they're going to draft one either in the first or the second round next year. But it's going to limit your ability and chance to make the playoffs this year, and you're going to regret it. You know, when we look at the linebackers, right, I couldn't put it as a strength, but it definitely can be. I think Quan Alexander's rookie season, I went back, I looked at the film, I thought it was pretty overrated. You know, he was a guy that could get a lot of pass rush, you know, the guy that can definitely rush up the middle, but I saw him getting faked out by play action. I saw him missing a number of tackles, you know, just kind of running around with a chicken with his head cut off. You know, I think he needs to be a smarter player. Levante David wasn't as dominant as I thought he was against the run. He was still fantastic in coverage, but against the run, he still had his issues. And then you guys signed Darryl Smith to start on the strong side. You know, the guy was okay, you know, but the Ravens, they kind of gave up on him. Age is finally catching up to him. You know, the guy's 34 years old. And Danny Lansana, for some reason, I don't know why you guys didn't want to bring him back. That's a loss to me. You know, so now he's off to, I think, Miami or something ridiculous like that. He was just sitting out there on the free agent market. No one wanted him. So we'll see what happens with the linebackers. It could certainly be good. If Mike Smith can coach up these guys a little more, it can definitely be a strength for this defense, but I couldn't quite put it there. Let's talk about the corners, okay? So, again, not a strength, not a weakness. Brent Grimes, I think he's going to be good. You know, people are talking about he's getting on. I mean, the guy is 33, and I thought he was pretty good last season. Yeah, I just think you got to keep his wife's mouth shut. You know, tell Miko Grimes to shut it. You know, buy her some duct tape for Christmas or something. Just, you know, keep her mouth shut. Yeah, I don't know why this continues to be an issue, but she keeps running her mouth. It's so ridiculous. It's so absurd. You drafted Vernon Hargreaves. You know, I'm not the biggest Vernon Hargreaves fan. I think he's going to be good. People think, whenever I'm not the biggest fan of somebody, people think I'm saying they're going to be a bust. He's going to be good. But he's not going to be a guy where we look at saying he's the number one cornerback. He's not going to be Desmond Trufant. He's not going to be Ronald Darby. He's not going to be Richard Sherman. He's not. He's not going to be those guys. He's going to be a nice number two corner that makes a couple plays, but gets beat by Amari Cooper, you know, just got killed by Amari Cooper in college, man. He's not going to be able to go up against these elite guys and have success. Julio Jones, if you pair him up with him, he's going to have troubles and issues. That's why you got Brent Grimes, because you knew this. You knew that, hey, Vernon Hargreaves, he can't handle the number ones, but the number twos, oh, he'll be a damn good number two corner. Number one corner, not interested in that conversation. Alteron Werner. Now with him, I like the conversation of putting him back in the slot. I think that's where he has a lot of success. You know, he wasn't a great fit in that Lovie Smith defense, which I think is kind of ridiculous. When you're a cornerback, cover. Okay, that's all you have to do. Just cover people, right? And I don't know why that's so difficult from one system to the next. So hopefully, you know, in this system, although I don't know how much different it's going to be, you know, he can have a little bit better success. And I think he'll be better because he's a better player than that, right? I mean, this guy got benched by Tim Jennings. Dude, you're better than that. I expect him to be better. I think he will be better. And this cornerbacks may end up being pretty good. You know, with Brent Grimes being that number one, he can cover number one wide receivers. I know that. You know, he's not going to be perfect, but he can do it. He's very capable. Vernon Hargreaves covering the number two, and Altuan Verner being the number three. I think that could work. But then the depth isn't great. Jonathan Banks, we get it. He stinks. Everyone knows that. You know, we've been expecting him to do something for years. He never does. He never will. You guys have this weird guy with like these three names, like Ajay something. You know, just a bunch of scrubs. Honestly, the depth is not there, so I couldn't put it as a strength. We move on to the safeties. Okay. Chris Conte, that's a damn good free safety to have, I believe. He's a guy that keeps bouncing around the league a little bit. I don't know why. He's a good safety, guys. Keep him. You guys have him good. But then next to him, Bradley McDougal. You know, I'm not a big fan of him. Behind him, though, you drafted Ryan Smith in the draft, so you have a nice option there. Hopefully, he can start sooner rather than later. He just needs to learn more in terms of awareness and looking out for potential calls and tells on the offensive side of the football. You know, looking out for that type of stuff in terms of reading the quarterback, and I think he'll start sooner rather than later. Now, the weaknesses for this football team. I went with the offensive line. I think it's terrible. I think the offensive line is god-awful. Donovan Smith on the left side. I don't know why he's on the left side. The guy is probably the worst pass blocking left tackle in the league. You know, he's a rookie last year. He's going to improve, but he's not going to go from the worst to the best. He's not going to go from the worst to average, okay? Your best hope is he can become below average and then become average and then end up being good. It's going to take a while. He was a project coming out of Penn State. He remains a project. We'll see there. Logan Mankins unfortunately retired, so now you have J.R. Sweezy from the Seattle Seahawks on the left side and Ali Marpet on the right side. Now, Ali Marpet was pretty good his rookie season. He should improve and be better. J.R. Sweezy, you know, he wasn't very good for Seattle, to be honest with you. Russell Wilson had to escape pressure from his side constantly, mainly because he was just letting guys get interior pass rush. So I don't love him. And then in the center, you have Joe Hawley and Evan Smith. Used to be Evan Dietrich Smith, but for some reason he dropped the Dietrich. Okay, fine. You know, neither of them inspire me. You know, none of them make me say anything. You know, one hope is DeMar Dotson on the right side. He finally came back healthy last season and was really dominant against the run and was pretty good against the pass too. I think he should be starting on the left side. I think they're just afraid to make Donovan Smith switch positions. They don't want that on him. I don't know why. You got to protect Jameis Winston. You got to put DeMar Dotson on the left side and then just move Donovan Smith to the right side. I think it'll be a better fit for him. I think it's better to have a liability on the right side than the left side when we're talking about Jameis Winston and what he can do. But okay, fine. I don't love the tight ends. You know, Cameron Brate, you know, we keep talking about him, right? So he had 288 yards last season. You know, okay, and apparently he looks good in training camp. Okay, fine, but he's going to get 500 yards, and that's just okay. And then behind him, Austin Seferian-Jenkins, the guy's a clown. You know, we need to stop talking about this guy. He can't stay healthy, and although he looked good, you know, the first couple weeks of last season, now he is in the doghouse. Dirk Cutter is ripping Austin Seferian-Jenkins at every turn, at every corner. Anytime he gets the chance in press conferences, he is ripping this guy. He's saying, oh, yeah, he stinks. You know, that's basically what he's saying on a day-to-day basis. It's ridiculous every time I sit back and I watch these press conferences. Luke Stalker, you know, he's a nice third guy to have. No problem there. And also Brandon Myers, you know, but I think it's a below-average tight end position. And I don't think it's the worst in the league, but I think it's up there. I just don't expect much from Austin Seferian-Jenkins. He just can't get his head on straight, can't get the playbook down, can't get the route running down, has issues there. And I forgot to talk about one position, that's the running backs. You know, this could actually be a strength, okay? So this is, I couldn't put it there. Let me tell you why. Doug Martin is inconsistent. from year to year. Now, if he's good one year, he's going to be good that year. If he's bad one year, he's going to be bad that year. That's the way it works. Okay, last year was a good year, but honestly, I'm buying that. I think it was just a contract year. I think he was balling out. I think that's what happened. You know, honestly, he still had fumbles last year. He really wasn't a fumble guy before last year, but then last year, just 4 fumbles lost. I was like, where did that come from? You haven't been that type of guy. You know, but he had 4.9 yards per carry. He's not going to have that again. He's not. It's going to 4.5 max, I say. But behind him, Charles Sims, a guy that really impressed and flashed. Get him on the field a little bit. You know, I would have been fine with the Bucs letting Doug Martin go. Yeah, honestly, I don't know why they didn't talk about that more, because I think Charles Sims can really start in this league and really do something in this league. So the running backs can definitely be a start, or could definitely be a strength for this defense, or for this offense, for this team. But I need to see what kind of Doug Martin we're getting this year. Are we getting the good Doug Martin, or are we getting the lazy Doug Martin? I need to find out. The lazy and the injury-prone Doug Martin. I need to find out before I can say this is a strength for this football team. So with that said, let's look at the schedule. But, you know, real quick, this is my thoughts on the team, right? So when you compare, you know, you guys have talent, right? You have Jameis Winston, you have Mike Evans, you have Vincent Jackson, assuming he's healthy. You guys have Gerald McCoy, you have Robert Ayers, you have Brent Grimes, who's going to be a nice free agent pickup. I honestly believe this. You know, you drafted pretty well Vernon Hargreaves and Noah Spence. But, you know, whenever I just compare your guys' roster to other teams in the league, I think it's a little below average. You know, I don't think it really fits in the above average range of the NFL right now. I think it's a below average roster. You know, people are trashing the Falcons right now. The Falcons have a better roster than you. You know, they do. So it's tough. The thing is, though, this is what I think could happen. And this is what I'm betting on, because for some reason, I have you guys winning a good amount of games. We're about to go through the schedule. Mike Smith, I think this guy's the key. If he can come in and get some stuff out of Levante David, turn him back into that elite linebacker. Turn Quan Alexander into the linebacker that I know he can be. Turn Gerald McCoy back into the dominant defensive lineman that he can be. Turn Vernon Hargreaves into a defensive rookie of the year candidate. Turn Daryl Smith into a nice servable linebacker. You know, turn these guys into a better defensive unit than they were last season. I think they can really have something here. You know, the thing is, last year with the Bucs defense, it wasn't as trash as people were saying. I mean, these guys ranked, you know, about average in terms of run yards allowed per game and pass yards per game. I think pass yards allowed per game, they were 16th, and run yards allowed per game, they were 11th. But they gave up the 26th most points. That was because a lot of Jameis Winston turnovers and Doug Martin turnovers, and also they weren't very good in the red zone. So if they can improve upon that, I think we could actually have a top 10 defense here. But then we look back at the offense, and I think the offensive line limits it. I think the depth really limits it, because there's none. I don't think there's any depth on this team, especially when it comes to the wide receivers. There are issues with this roster, but I am a big Jameis Winston fan. I think he's going to throw over 30 touchdowns this season. And these games are going to be close. A lot of these games are going to be close. If he can pull out some of these games, and I know that he can, I think we can really be talking about a playoff team here. I'm calling the NFC South the best team, the best division in the NFL this year, and more importantly, the most dangerous division in the NFL. Because although I only have one team coming out of this division, I think they're very dangerous, meaning any team in the NFL, from the Cleveland Browns to the Green Bay Packers, can lose to any of these teams any given week. Honestly, it wouldn't shock me. If the Packers lost to any of these teams, it wouldn't shock me. You know, none of you guys are facing them, but it wouldn't shock me. I think the NFC South is the most dangerous division. Let's talk about the NFC South. You're in it yet again. So you guys, last year, you guys didn't beat the Panthers. I think you split with the Falcons. I think you split with the Saints. So you guys went about 2-4 in your division, I believe. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I believe. You know, this year I think it's going to be 3-3, and I think you can beat the Carolina Panthers when you host them Week 17. It depends on what they're playing for, what you're playing for, but I think that's definitely a possibility. Split with the Falcons and split with the Saints. You know, I don't think there's going to be much discussion here. I think you guys can agree with that. You guys go up against the NFC West, and including Week 2 at Arizona, including Week 3 hosting the LA Rams, including Week 7 going to San Francisco, and Week 12 hosting Seattle. So I talked about this in my Seahawks video. I think you guys could really upset this team. I think you guys could really upset Seattle here. I think it could be a classic Jameis Winston victory there. Yeah, at Arizona, I think it's a loss. Unless if Carson Palmer really takes a dip this season, which I think is a possibility. I think you guys lose there. You guys should beat the Rams. You guys should definitely beat the Rams. And then at San Francisco, San Francisco should stink this season, but this game kind of concerns me a little bit, but I'll see you guys win this one. So I honestly think you guys go 3-1 against the NFC West. So 3-3 in the NFC South, 3-1 against the NFC West. You guys go up against the AFC West. Okay, this includes Week 4 hosting Denver. This includes Week 11 going to Kansas City, Week 13 going to San Diego, and which one am I missing? Oh, Week 8 hosting the Oakland Raiders. Now, you're going to have some troubles here. You guys... Okay, you guys are hosting Denver and Oakland. I'll say you guys win one of those. You'll lose one. I don't know which one. You will win one. I don't know which one. I say you guys lose the other 2 games in the AFC West. So I say you guys lose in Kansas City and you lose in San Diego. 1-3 against the AFC West. So we have 3-1 against the NFC West, but then 1-3 against the AFC West, and then 3-3 against your own division. We're about 500 right now. In fact, we are 500, and then 2 more games, and this will be the teams that finish concurrently with you in their own respective divisions. This means you guys hosted the Chicago Bears in Week 10. And the other team would be the Dallas Cowboys in Week 15. I see you guys split. And I see you guys would beat Chicago and lose to Dallas. But I can see it being the other way, too. You know, I don't know how it's going to work out, but I say it's a split, and I say it's 8-8. You know, I just think the schedule isn't bad. I say it's a schedule. Yeah, I don't think it's either a tough schedule or a hard schedule. I think it's a schedule. Okay, so it's just a schedule, just an NFL schedule. There will be issues. I don't think you're quite ready yet. I don't see enough elite talent. I don't think your talent, your roster matches up well with the rest of the league, but I think Jameis Winston can definitely lead you there. But it's going to take a lot from him. Probably, I say 30, he's going to get 30, 30 plus. It's going to take 35. And it's going to take people staying healthy, but people aren't going to stay healthy. People are going to get injured. Players are going to get injured, and I don't think you're going to be quite good enough once that happens. But I think 8-8 is respectable. And then if you can build upon this, get some damn free agents next season, draft well yet again, then we will definitely be talking about the playoffs in 2017. So there you go. There's my Tampa Bay Buccaneers 2016 season preview. What do you think about the upcoming Bucs season? Comment down below. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, and most importantly, to subscribe, because every single damn day, new video up on this channel. And during the season, I'll be talking about the NFL so much it'll make you sick. Until next time, this has been the MJ Take on Sports Fan Entertainment, and I'm out.